Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you guys back. Sorry, I've been gone for 2 weeks. I don't know if you heard, but I got a strike from YouTube, and that meant that I could not live stream. They block your live stream, and they block you from announcing your problem so that nobody will know what's going on because they're such nice guys. And then I was on vacation. Well, not really vacation. I went down to Quartzsite to look for rocks and stuff for my store. So sorry about that. Anyway, I'm back. And just a reminder, be really careful what you type in the chat. I really don't know what exactly triggered them. They just say there's something in your 3-hour video that is medical disinformation. So they did start that new rule like a few weeks ago. That you can't say anything bad about the arm pokes or something. And then I guess they went and found a video like several months ago from before when the rule was enacted and decided that that one somehow broke the rule. I don't even know. So, yeah, it's tricky. However, I do actually have, see if I can find it on here. I was able to move most of my videos onto Odyssey finally. So I do have a backup channel. Unfortunately, it will not move videos over 2 hours. So it didn't move some of my more recent ones. Let's see. I think I get there here. I'm hoping that this one, so it's same channel name, Once Upon a Timeline. Yay! See, it moved all this. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of my old videos on here, but not my more recent ones. But at least a bunch of them are on here, like a lot. So let's see how far it goes back. 2 years, blah, blah, blah. So basically, I think it took all of them except for anything over 2 hours. So like some of the live streams are not on here. And I'm going to try to hand upload those. I'm not sure exactly how. I mean, I don't know if it has a limit on the hours to upload or it just has a limit on how many it'll auto upload. But anyway, so it worked out. Last time I tried this, it totally didn't work. And then this time I tried it and it was a whole different system and it totally worked. So I don't know. Anyway, let's see who's in. It's Jimmy CNY3. I'm not saying that name. Heart's Truth is in. Maria, Sapioid, Shari D, welcome, welcome. Monty Hendricks, Capalicious, Fizzy Pop, The Logical Danger. Yeah, so anyways, I was in Quartzsite. I got kind of a bad haircut, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to grow out. So also, I went to click on my lighting for today and the light just won't go on. So I have some other light that makes me probably look different. It's like a different tone and angle. And it's amazing how much lighting can make a difference. So yeah, if I look totally different, it's pretty much the lighting. It's instead of a warm tone, it's kind of a cold tone and it's coming from a different angle and all that business. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about some map changes because every time I go up to Quartzsite, which is like once a year or sometimes twice, but both times will usually be in January, I see how it has changed since last time I've been there. So just to give you an idea, okay, California's here, and where's that line? The Arizona border is right about there. And so almost all the trip is me in California. I'm here in Escondido. I've got to get up here, get on this 10 freeway, bop just over the border to into Arizona, and then Quartzsite's like here. Okay, so this 10 freeway part has not changed a ton, at least not compared to the other roads, but the weirdness is over here. Okay, so it used to be that you could pretty much take either the 215 or the 15. So I'd go up the 15 and I could either take the 215 or the 15, and they weren't that much difference because one would be like over here and one would kind of come around, and it really didn't look hugely different. But now you can see going the 15 would be just asinine because you'd be going way off in the wrong direction. You'd be going way over here. So that's been changing for a while. So now for a while now, it only made sense to take the 215. The other thing that has changed is this 15 used to hook up with 10 like around here, but now it looks like the 10's like way up there or something. I mean, this is like the super roundabout route. So the 10 used to come like pretty much straight across and hit either the 15 or the 215. That's not the case at all. Now the weird part is up in here. Let me see if I can find where. Let's zoom in a little bit. What's weird now is the 60. Okay, so what I used to do, usually, I could take the 15, and once or twice I had overshot the exit for the 215, and I did take the 15, and it didn't seem that bad. But now you just shoot yourself if you did that, because look there's so much. I mean, you might as well just turn back around and go back and get on the 215, because you don't want to do all this extra. But in the old days, if you shot over that, just take the 15, no big. The main reason I didn't take the 15 is because it seemed like it had more traffic. I mean, it's always hit and miss on those things. So the other thing you used to do is you could take the 215 and there was like this, the 10 would go all the way across, and there was this kind of a shortcut called the 60. Now you can see it's now up here, but it used to cut across like this. So the 60 was kind of a shortcut. It looked shorter. It probably was shorter. But the problem was there's a twisty turny. It's kind of narrow. There's 2 lanes only. You're twisting. There's not like much space on either side. And all the big rigs are on there like squashed up on the right-hand lane and then constantly going in the left-hand lane. And if there's any accidents, it's a big disaster because there's no room to get around. And if, it's like if you have a lot of junk in your truck, like rocks, and then making those corners and people are speeding. I don't know. It was just, and it was really twisty. So it was a little hairy. If there's an accident, it was a big problem. So when you took the 60, you're like, I'm going to take the 60, but I'm not totally loving it, and it only helped a little bit. So people with trailers and stuff often would not take that. People who get nervous driving would not take it. It just wasn't that big a deal to go on the 215 to the 10. But now you have to go on the 60 because the 60 doesn't cut across anymore. The 60 has become an extension of the 10. The 10 goes across and turns right into the 60. So you don't even have to worry about trying to merge onto the 10 or anything. It just is. It is the 10. So this really made me think a lot, and it's something I've been thinking about for a while is, when there's a road and then suddenly it changes name to something else, and you're like, who's the numbnuts who made the road have like 3 different names all along the same stretch? And when we have roads in our town that are like, there's some road here, and then there's a big area of none of it, and then the road continues like way down here, and people are like looking up and down this road for an address, not finding it, not realizing they got to go to a whole nother part of town for another segment of the same road. I mean, how does that baloney happen? I mean, who's the idiot? Well, here, it's the Mandela, I guess, that did this now. This 60 used to be a separate road in a separate direction that intersected with the 10 and was an option. But now it is like just another piece of the 10 freeway. It doesn't have its own identity, really. And if you want to get onto the 10, unless you want to go way up here and then all the way back down there, that really is more like the 10. You have to go on the 60 almost if you're going to take that route at all. But here's the thing. And last year, this was more upright like this. Now I'm seeing it like turn. This whole section is slowly like going more and more like this. The coast is over here. So I want to go this way, and this all mess is turning this way. So last year I was just thinking, I wonder if there's a good route through here. But I I just didn't see one that looked really good. And I had once taken this 79 and it was so twisty and twisty and twisty that you ended up just taking longer to go because even though it looks straighter, you're going like all these constant switchbacks. It was horrible. I did do this once a long time ago and I didn't even catch it way down here. I think I caught it. This whole mess looks different, but I think I caught it up over here. And I'm like, oh, I'm never doing that again. It took forever. And it was just constant concentration, because every corner is sharp. So, and also for years, I mean, I've been using my phone to make this route, and I mostly just use it to check for like accidents and stuff. I type in quartzite, I say directions, and it always gives me the same thing. The last many years has always been the 215 to the 60 to the 10. Okay, for years now, for years. So I head out this time and I go up the 15 a little bit, and then next thing I know, it's telling me to take like the 79 and all this yammer, and I'm like, what? It has never told me to take all that stuff. And I think I cut over way down here, and it was just like so weird. So I'm like, no, I don't want to go that way. I just want to go the way I'm used to, because I hadn't really realized the map had bent this much. So I went up a little bit, and then again it's saying, oh, cut over here to the 79, and I'm like, what? Finally, I cut over there, and I went this route, and it really wasn't twisty, and it was pretty fast. And I got there faster, and I've never seen this territory in here. And I'm like, there weren't any major accidents along here. There was no real reason to bypass. It is obviously just shorter now. It never was shorter, but now it totally is. And then when I came back, I do the same thing. I type in, Escondido directions, and it took me on the same cut. This is the cut it prefers now, unless there's some kind of massive accident on here. I think it'll always tell me to cut through here, and it never has before. So anyway, it's just all weird. I don't know what to say. But yeah, more map changes for this 60-10 and this mess. So this stuff's all bending over that way. Okay, so I get to quartzite, and we just camp out in the desert. And so the next thing I notice is there's this little strip. I always say this, that there's this little strip of Dome Rock Road that we camp on, like within a few miles. And I've camped all up and down, whatever campsite's open. And I said before that the actual Dome Rock, which is this little hill, well, kind of a big hill that it's named after, had really changed its form. It formed this weird little cap of rock on the top. It used to be dome-shaped, so that was why it was Dome Rock. But now it's like more shaped like this, and it has a funny rock on the dome, so I guess that's why it's called Dome Rock now. But the other thing, this year is the first year I ever saw saquaros there. And I used to kind of mentally moan about that we'd have to go much further to see saguaros. There was never any saguaros in any of those campsites. There are now saguaros in all the campsites. They look to be about, I'm not sure how fast these suckers grow, but I think they have to be about 15 years old, 20 years old maybe. They're not like super old, but they're not, young ones. So here's the thing, so we camped in this one spot, and I see there's like 4 or 5 saguaros that I can easily see, more off in the distance. Several, I think like 3 of them I could walk to within like a minute. So I walk to them and I check them out. And this is also weird. Every one of them was dead. So they look live on the top, and I have not seen this in any other saguaros that I visited in the past. I don't know if it's a thing here or what. But basically, the top, like 3/4 were alive, but the bottom had totally, I don't know if it rotted or got eaten, but all of the flesh was gone from the bottom, like all the fleshy live part. You could just see, the skeleton, it rotted in the bottom or something gnawed off all of the bottom part, like rabbits or something. And then it started to die slowly from the bottom up. So the top looks all green, but when you get down there, it's on a slow death, apparently. Now, I've never seen this in cactuses before, at least not saguaros. I've never seen anything like this. So, I mean, it's not without, it's easy to imagine this happening, but I've just never seen it. So every last saguaro I inspected had that same thing. Maybe 2 to 5 feet of dead area, like a 2 foot totally gnawed or missing flesh, and then 2, 5, or 8 feet worth of slow deadening going up. So they just showed up in my timeline, but they weren't there last year at all. And now they're dead though. So I don't know, are they going to get live going backwards? Are they going to be live next year? I don't really know what I'm going to see. I mean, which direction are these things heading in? Um, Weird. Okay, so that was another weird quartzite thing. Let's see what you guys are talking about. In Kazakhstan, people protested against the government. The military was sent to squash the uprising. They failed and got their booty whooped. That's interesting, especially since Kazakhstan itself is such a Mandela. It's huge, it's growing, it's constantly bigger. I like your haircut, says Heart's Truth. I'll tell you, it's just weird because haircuts that I don't really look good in person look good on the stream, and then I don't know, it's just like people say they look good, and then I look on the stream, it doesn't look good, and then one's all shaggy and out of control looks good on the stream. So I don't know how that works, but so yeah, it probably looks better on the stream because every time something looks bad in real life, it looks good on the stream. And I did switch to live chat. Thank you. Okay, so I got on Odyssey because the tube has, yeah, a lot of people can't be on here anymore. The thing with Odyssey is great is that if you have an established channel, it will auto move your videos for you, and nobody else will do that I know of. So Odyssey gets the nod. Hair grows back at a wife with her own salon. Yeah, I got a haircut when I was out at the show because my stylist was so backed up. I'm like, yeah, I'll just get one out there. But so yeah, I have not heard a ton about the events in Kazakhstan. I know there's been protests all over. Um, I don't know what to make of all that. Maybe we'll just see more and more until something happens. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, the trip was good for me. I feel like I regained some of my natural circadian rhythm. I was staying up so late and then waking up late and being out there without electricity and things. I kind of shifted back to a more go to bed earlier, get up earlier. Plus, you have to because the shows start at 9 and they're over by 5, and I got a lot of shopping to do. So, then after 5, it's like boring city. You go out and eat, and there's nothing else to do. Most of the people I used to go with are at home because of the Rona. They're afraid to go or whatever. Have you ever heard of Boeing 377 Strato Cruiser? No. Boeing 377 Strato Cruiser. I think I spelled it right. A large long-range airliner developed from Stratofreighter, itself a derivative of the B-29 Super Fortress. Featured 2 passenger decks and a pressurized cabin. Huh. Well, 377 was also converted into the Aerospace Line's Pregnant Guppy. Okay. What are the dates on these things? At the end of 1949. Okay, yeah, it does seem pretty advanced for 1949. I don't know. But we have jets in World War II now and stuff, so yeah. I'm not a plane expert, but it is certainly suspicious. Or the top secret route, super sneaky covert spy route. If you're more near Temecula, is taking the road that goes through the farmland in Sun City, headed to Hemet, then through the winding pass to Ten. Yeah, I think that's where it took me, but it just never has before, and it wasn't very windy at all. It was less windy than the 60. I mean, I assume the 60 is still windy. I haven't been on it in like I was on it last year, and it was pretty windy. So I'm pretty sure that was last year. So I don't know. I That's one of the reasons why I hated the shortcuts, because they were so windy. But especially in the old days, because I had this dog that would get car sick if the roads were too windy. So I didn't want her hurtling in the car. So I didn't like the windy roads. But it wasn't this time. It was very. I went by a lot of cows and stuff. It was pretty area. I wish you had a picture of it. Drove past Dome Rock a billion times. Well, you can still see it. I mean, because it's not like the old photos stayed the same. They changed to match the new Dome Rock. So there it is. And I often do camp. I always camp on the north side of the road for some reason. Oh, see, look, there's a saguaro right there. And it's hard to tell if it has a dead bottom. But yeah, this used to be dome shaped like this. And now it's like pointy, and this big pustule is on the top. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. So in the past, there's a kind of rock you can get on here. I believe it was called allanite, and I actually walked all over the top because the top wasn't tricky. Now it looks like it's kind of tricky to walk all over it, but we walked all over the top and all around through here. And this is the diggings where they were digging for allanite. I actually might have gotten like one of the last seams of allanite. You can't really find much up there anymore, but like 15 years ago, I went up there and they had a trip up there, and I was the last one out of the vehicle, and it was one of my first rock hounding trips ever, and I was a little bit late, so I was at the tail end, and everybody had staked out every digging spot, and so by the time I got up there, I just had no choice, and I just picked whatever was left, and it turned out that my spot was the only spot that had any rock in it, so I got a whole bunch of that allanite now. I haven't seen any. It used to be you'd see the allanite for sale all over Quartzsite too, because they dig it here and then they sell it. But I don't think anybody's found it in a really long time. So that was kind of one of those epic things, when you're new to something and then you hit like the mother lode. So it was pretty exciting. It really stuck in my head. Then I should look marvelous on the street. I don't know. It seems it's just hair, though. Hair is different. But if I look bad in person, I still look bad on the stream, unfortunately. Their internet access has been cut and the media is hush-hushing. Oh, on Kazakhstan. Did you go to the RTR in Quartzsite? I don't know what the RTR is. Maybe. I went to most places on there. The squirrels, birds, blah, blah, blahs live in the cicadas. Yeah, but there wasn't like holes in the side of the cicada. I mean, the cicada, the saguaros. Like, I've definitely seen all the nature shows where they show all the holes and the birds poking holes and all that. That wasn't the problem. They looked totally fine on the top half. So we don't know how it is in Myanmar either. Yeah, yeah. I don't. It's crazy because you used to always say, "Oh, China's the bad guy. They're limiting free speech," but then we limit free speech and nobody's complaining. Well, some of us are, but a lot aren't. Or maybe they are, but it's just being silenced. I don't know. And then other countries are doing it, and we're just totally pretending that it's not happening because China bad guy, and apparently nobody else is. And it gets weirder every month, really. Yeah, there was a bit more bell-shaped. It actually looked like a busty boob, and it's a little more like, yes, exactly. That was the shape. Alunite is ALUNITE. Let me show you that stuff. It's actually pretty fun for making rocks out of this alunite. Wait. Those aren't it. Here we go. Okay. I don't know what all this is, but this is alunite from Arizona here. So it's kind of blah looking, I guess, in this image, but basically it's creamy on one side and like a reddish color, and then the patterns like merge. And it's kind of soft, but it polishes up really good, and it's pretty solid, so you don't have a lot of crumbling or cracking problems. Now, I don't know what all of this other stuff is, but the quartzite alunite, geez, I don't even know what this stuff is. Alunite crystals. This is the alunite from quartzite, was the only alunite I ever knew before. And used to be, if you type that in, you would find, what the hell is all this? Natural. Okay, so here is like a cab of it. Perhaps not the most amazing cab, but this stuff used to be plentiful, so and you didn't have to like bust your butt getting to it, so it was kind of cool. But now it just seems like it's really rare. The vein I found was extra weird looking patterning too, because instead of being real straight like I normally see it, the patterns were like all swirly, but it was definitely alunite. It had those two colors. There's another one. It comes like kind of in these pancakes of like, it looks like fat pancakes when you dig it out. And it's all covered here. This is a little bit more like the one I found. Well, you can't really see it on there, but I had a little bit more white in mine. So when you dig it out, it's in these big chunks, like big pancakes, and everything is covered with this white dust. And so, like, the pancakes are covered with white dust, and all the boring, unwanted rocks are covered in white dust. So you're getting them out, and you're like, is this alunite, or is it like the unwanted rock? So you're like putting water on it, or you break it. You're trying to figure out if it's the stuff, So a lot of it was just pulling out a rock and going, is this it or is it not? Because everything just looked like a white dusty blob until you broke a corner off, or you noticed it was exceptionally pancake shaped or whatever. Yeah, some of these, like this one's a nice one. So it doesn't really show it, but it shines up really nice too, which is another thing that's nice about it. So some stones, when you try to cut them, they're all crumbly, or you'll get it real nice and then they'll just break in half, and you're like, Arr! Or like you'll get it close to the shape and a big chunk will shatter off or chip off, or you'll make it and then it'll break in half later. That's very irritating. Allanite doesn't do that. Also, it's just easy polish too. Some stuff that's soft won't get very shiny, but allanite totally will. So it's not really well known, but it is a fun stone. I found the old U.S. flag in the new movie Don't Look Up. It's in a scene where they use the flag emoji, but it's with the red stripe underneath the blue box. Yeah, that one's flipped around a number of times for me. We're actually back to my original now with the white stripe under the blue. But I don't know how many times that's flipped. And it was actually someone else who pointed it out, and then I started watching it, and that's how I saw the flip. So there probably were multiple flips before I even started watching it. There are many horses the size of dogs. There used to be ponies, but yeah. I agree. I saw those tiny ones and I was very suspicious of it. Very suspicious. They just keep shrinking down. It's like ridiculous. So ponies for me were just kind of a little bit smaller horses. They weren't like dog sized. Let's see if they show any of the images. They just get a little shorter all the time. Tiny therapy horses comfort young children. So this kind of shows you it's kind of ridiculous now. I mean, they're so dinky. There's all these super tiny hooved animals. So it used to be that you would think that they need the hooves to hold up all that weight and stuff, but they don't now. I mean, that's why used to be just big animals with hooves, and I assumed it was necessary for the way that all the weight to move all that weight quickly. But now you got these little tiny bitty guys, and they sure as hell don't need hooves. It's just crazy. Tiny, tiny little deer and stuff. Allanite often has a pleochroic halo of radiation damage in the minerals immediately adjacent. Also, highly radioactive grains of allanite often have their structure disrupted or Okay, you know what? I'm not that much of a rock hound. I'm really good at recognizing it. I'm really good at polishing it. I have a natural eye for grabbing the most expensive thing on earth and wanting it. But when it gets to the real geology, I'm not that good. It's so trippy that you can collect crystals in nature. You know, if you like that stuff, find your local rock hunting club, your rock hounding club, and they will often have field trips or lapidary or one of the above at least. And in some areas, you'd be surprised how much stuff. Like the Southwest has a ton of like jasper and agate. There's a lot of places you can go. There's like fossilized clams about 2 hours from here, like a whole mountain of freaking things. The hardest part there is the area getting there is really super, super thick sand. So you have to have a good off-roader to get there. Some places you don't even have to dig, you just walk around and look. Like some of the agate and jasper. There's another place about 3 hours from here that's geode beds. Then you kind of have to dig, but sometimes you'll find them. Like if you just walk in the ravines, you'll find broken agates in there that the nature has dug up for you and flung down the river. I have no idea what happened, but there have been many peculiar stuff coming out that I've never heard of before, and they claim we always knew about. Yes, 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 yes. It's just more every day. You just feel like there's a point where I'm just like, I give up. I can't track. Everything is changing so quickly, so much that you can't. It's like too hard to track it. Okay, now you're talking about soaking the allanite, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It came out just fine. I didn't have to do anything. I just slapped it on the grinding wheel and kaboom. So when I say it's different from me, the vein I found. So when you dig the veins, like every vein will have different patterning. So a lot of the older stuff had more of a straight lining in it with the old allanite, but the vein I found had more weird pattern. But they're all allanite. It's just different patterns of the color. So I wasn't saying it was a Mandela. That was just my vein. The main vein that I dug up had that. But then the allanite I saw for sale in a lot of places had the older school look to it. So, that you'd think there's probably more allanite down in that mountain, but I haven't seen any for sale around town for like 10 or 15 years. So I think I pretty much hit the tail end of it there. We went back up there and looked in years past after that, and we could not find even a tiny scrap. It's been like picked over. Okay, so we covered the weird map. Hopefully we'll have even easier route eventually. I'm kind of thinking maybe we could just have a route this route here almost looks like it's going to go there now. Okay, so what's next? In about 3 weeks, I'm going to go to Tucson, Arizona. So I remember it being like an 8-hour trip that went more up through here, but now the trip is kind of straight along the 8 here. Somewhere in there. I can't remember how far along, but it's like a 6. Oh, here it is. I remember it being more up here and Phoenix being more up here, but it looks like it's bent down. Tucson is actually below the bottom of California over here. So I just basically shoot along the 8 to Tucson now. Tucson is one of the world's biggest rock shows. And I had to get a hotel because there's no deserts nearby to camp in, apparently. But I did manage to obtain a hotel not super far away that wasn't totally expensive. So yes, I'll miss another one of these things like in 3 weeks. Okay, so what else did I want to talk about? I think that was most of that stuff. The saquaros. Okay, so this is one thing I noticed like a couple weeks ago, and I was going to cover it on the show until I found out that I was blocked because of the strike. But I noticed that these orangutans, formerly orangutans, are so this face thing, which used to be more like naked, sometimes has fur on it now. You can see this guy's got a lot of bumps of fur on his. Also, they're getting this, it's going up more onto the top of the head. It used to just be out on the side of the face. So now you can see it's bending up. But then we're getting this weird, like, dimple thing on the forehead now that we didn't used to have. So they're turning into, like, Klingons or something. So I noticed this a couple weeks ago. There's also a lot more variation. This is that other style that showed up. It's a different kind of orangutan, but you can see it's happening with them too. These side things are getting bigger, and they're getting the bump on top of the head. Let's see. Now, the young ones don't have it, but a lot of the older ones are getting this weird. So you can see here they're getting weird patterning on the side. They're turning into like pizza faces or something. It's just weird. Here's another guy has this weird donut hole on the forehead. It kind of seems like it's going to be like Klingons, like each one is going to have really unique face bumps and stuff. This guy is a pretty good example of it. Again, you can see that weird circle thing right here. So it's almost like that's all the forehead that's left, but then there's be like a dented divot in here too. So it's not normal forehead material. Not a lot of images of the adult ones right now. Okay, well, anyway, you get the idea. All right, another one I found. So somebody was talking about Easter Island again, and they said there was a weird rock wall on there, so I looked it up. So the person who found it is Objects in Mirror Maybe is the username. Objects in Mirror Maybe. So you can imagine that was on Retconned. Vinapu. Have you ever heard of vinapu on Easter Island? You might recognize these weird rocks, though, because these showed up originally somewhere else, and this is the first I'm seeing them. And this is on Easter Island now. I betcha. You have not seen these kind of rocks before on Easter Island, but here they are. So not a lot of them yet. Let's see if we can find a better image. But it's these funky, like, I don't know, molded rocks where they fit like little jigsaw pieces. These aren't absolutely zero space between them, perfectly fit. Each one's a different shape. So it's fairly simple right now. There's not as many jigsaw puzzle pieces on it. But I think that there's a good chance that it'll get... So see, there's like one little one in there. I think we're going to see more of this. Because the first time it showed up for me, first it was just a little bit. And then it was like more and more walls. And now it's showing up in more and more places. It was originally just the one place, but now it's even on Easter Island that they have these. I call them like the molded rocks or something, because I don't know if there's a real word for this style of rocks, but you're seeing these all over the world right now, just growing like like toadstools up out of the same exact look. So we could have an argument for a global civilization or something. What's doing these? They didn't even exist in my old timeline. And here we are, Easter Island. Okay, so that was found by user on Retconned. Objects in Mirror Maybe. So when I was looking into this, I also found something else. New to me about Easter Island is now there are female moai. Okay, so there's only like one or two examples currently on the island, and there's very sketchy references to them, but you can see they have like kind of boobs and stuff. Female moai, Easter Island. And there's supposed to be that this one, which is on this new vinapu area, and it's supposed to be broken, but this is supposed to be the remnants of a female moai over in the same area with this new rock wall. So this showed up with the rock wall as far as I'm concerned. You can't really figure out much from that, but they say that is a female moai. So my old timeline, of course, did not have female moai. Now, I wasn't able to find any other examples of the female ones on the island other than this stick thing. As of now, this reddish one. It looks like it's got a lot of barnacles on it or something. The white blobs, I don't know what that is, but so keep an eye though. I really suspect we'll see more of these female moai. Actually, this is an interesting photo because I don't remember this photo ever before. Huge difference in the sizes. One hat. I've never seen this one before. You'll recall they used to be all the same height at one point. Of course, they used to just be heads and standalone heads at one point, and then they were these lined up guys, but they were all the same height. And then they had the hats, then the hats got bigger. And then lately there's been less hats, but there's more difference in height. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, look, this line really seems to have changed. There's quite a bit more different. This guy's head that sticks out, he looks like there's something going on with his head. It looks like he's pushed his head way forward. I have not seen this, and it's all like dark colored and doesn't match the body. And look, the ears here don't match the face color. The whole coloration of these things. This one looks like his whole face has been shaved. The nose has gotten really giant on these things. Look at the nose. These things have really changed a lot. I don't think it was this bad before I went on the trip. I was looking. Look at the nose. The whole look is different. So it used to have more of a plain face, but now they look like you have giant, I don't know, it almost looks phallic in here. And then the kind of chiseled look is gone, and you just have these giant, I don't know, what the hell? So yeah, the look on the faces has changed a lot. This guy's head sticking out like he's got something wrong with his neck. I mean, even the fact that they have something like a neck is fairly different. See, it looks more chiseled under here. There's like a separation between the body and then the head is like pushed forward. So, yeah. Man, they just keep changing, don't they? Let me just go back here. So yeah, I'm just seeing that. I don't think that image was there when I was looking, like this guy's giant fat head. I don't think, I don't think that was there recently. Again, look at the nose. Looks like he's got a booger too. Yeah, so it looks like there's like a neck now, basically. There's the body, and then there's like this little neck region, and then the head, and the head is like pushed forward. I do not believe that this neck region was here before. So again, changes on the moai. Yeah, I'll pretty much be like totally busy at the show. So if you come to the show, I might see you. But I mean, then you'd have to, which one of the 50 shows? I'll be coming there in the earlier half of the show, but I'm only going to be staying for 5 days. And I've got like 25 shows to go to. So I wish I could stay longer. It really deserves a lot more time, but I got to get back and do work. So I'm still trying to catch up from the last trip. So, hopefully, pray one of these days I'm going to find someone to assist my business so I can, who's very accomplished in holding down forts while someone else is gone, so I can get out of Dodge for longer. San Diego for me wasn't that far down, neither was Los Angeles. I agree on you there. Preliminal, I totally remember that also. Oh yeah, the date wrong. I'll fix that. Thanks. I'll fix it and then it'll look right by then. I didn't used to put the date on it. I just went copy. Hopefully it's not on Starlight Pass Boulevard in Tucson, although that's right next to the Waffle House. It is the shady part of town. I mean, that whole area apparently is the shady part of town, but it's got like it's got private parking where you have to like sign in to park and stuff. So if you're gonna get a hotel anywhere near the show, then it's the shady part of town. Noses didn't have the nostrils, more straight and cubic. Yeah, they were more I don't know, architectural and less blobby and organic looking. They were more sharp angled. Looks like the whole ancient civilization, forgotten history thing is becoming more and more true. After all, they do officially say we live in post-truth era. Yeah, I don't know what truth is anymore. It's, the what's true constantly changes. So it's just like, well, our past is changing. So I don't know what's true because it's whatever's true yesterday may not be true tomorrow. A lie today could be the truth tomorrow. A fantasy today can be reality tomorrow, and reality today can be a fantasy tomorrow. So, or an old wives' tale. I saw Sleepy Joe screw up and say, Happy 2020. You know, I do think there's wrong with that guy. I mean, I do think he's got some kind of something going on, but on the flip side, I have to say that if you talk for hours on end, you will say something stupid probably, about once a week, frankly. So if somebody does a slip up and says the wrong year or whatever, I really don't think by itself it means a lot, but I mean, like, he does kind of slur his words and a bunch of other stuff that makes that more of a thing. But I mean, some people just slip up, and I know I've said stuff. Oh, I dropped my lid of my water now, so to be more careful. I say some stuff sometimes, and it's a slip, and it doesn't mean I'm senile. So I try not to just take one little thing like that. But the moais look, yeah, that's my feeling. They look, like, I don't know. They were nicer looking. Now they look kind of. They had these nice, sharp, chiseled edges, and now they look kind of blobby. The edges are rounded. This guy looks like he hit a wall and his whole head is flat. I mean, what happened to his nose and stuff? I've never seen a. And then they kind of look like they have like cartoon, like ridiculous noses. I don't know. I'm like, I don't really like him as much right now. But yeah, the necks, I don't know. What are we going to get in the end? Did you see the one where Biden's like, let's go, Brandon? That one was really interesting. So Biden, I guess somebody, if you know the let's go, Brandon mean, it was not meant to be kind to Biden. But in some interview, somebody asked Biden what he thought about let's go, Brandon, or something like that. And Biden seemed to have no knowledge of the meme at all. Like, he has no idea what's going on. So I thought that was really interesting because he just seems to be apparently totally cut off with common memes of him, of actual him. So is he just like being, that information is kept away from him or what? I'm really tempted to think that the handlers are really much controlling the information that he sees. I actually don't hold a lot of hatred for him because I don't think he's much other than a puppet. He may well believe everything because he's a lot like the people that watch TV and just believe everything they see. They don't know there's another truth out there, that there's other information out there. So they just accept what the TV tells them. So I suspect that Biden is basically operating with the assumption that his handlers are giving him truthful info, and that he's helping the world. So, he's a stooge. Well, is that even the right word? He's a puppet. Now, I don't think he has enough mental capacity that he even knows what's going on. What part of Phoenix were you? Okay, you're talking to somebody else. Biden has dementia. Yeah, I don't know. It could be dementia, could be a stroke, could be some kind of drug or mental control thing. There's a lot of things it could be. I think we'll know more in about 5 or 6 years, because if it's dementia, it will have gotten really bad by then, probably. But if it's a stroke, it could stay very much the same, or even he could improve a little over time. I think they want him to look this bad and play it up. Yeah, I don't know, but there's definitely something like when he speaks, his jaw doesn't move right and stuff. So there's definitely something not working in his mouth. So this is the second president now that we've had all these questions about, did their medical tests really honestly come out the way they said, and we don't trust them. So I just think it's really interesting, because this really hasn't, in my whole life, there hasn't been any questions like this. Now we have 2 presidents in a row. So frankly, I feel like it's, even if it was 2020, I mean, I can't believe it's 2022. Almost can't blame Biden for having trouble believing where that many years have passed, frankly. So, see, the same thing with Trump. I mean, like, he really, if you look at him 10 or 20 years ago, he was much sharper. I mean, there's something wrong. Other old guys like Rand Paul, was it? And it's Ron. Ron is the son. Rand is the father, I believe. He's super sharp, even though he's an old geezer. He's like a whip, So you don't have to be degenerated mentally, especially to the extent that I felt Trump degenerated a lot, but then Biden's even worse. So it's like, Trump at least released results regardless of, well, I don't know what you release results that he wrote himself and then had the doctor sign, then it's no different than hiding the results, really. They're releasing a lie or releasing nothing. I don't know if anyone is any better than the other. I can't give anybody credit for writing the results and then having a puppet doctor sign them, then he never even looked at the results. What you notice might be the difference between the Emid who don't age as fast and the non-Emid who age faster. I don't know, is Rand Paul Emid? I don't know. So yeah, anyway, as you can see, I don't trust any of the politicians on either side, especially not in recent years. Look at, there's another one of those pizza flat faced. It's almost, yeah, these statues, they look like they've just kind of melted or something. All the hard edges are off. And it's like they were made out of butter and the sun got hot or something. All the edges that were sharp are now this one still has some sharp edge down here, but that's about it. Even down here was more defined and sharp. It's almost like they grew a bumpy rind on them or something. This is one of the things I've kind of noticed, is that sometimes the Mandela is not a straight line. So these things, they slowly were moving in a certain kind of a direction that we saw. And then suddenly now they're moving kind of in a different direction. They were getting sharper and sharper with more definition. And now suddenly they've kind of melted a little. Boy, the mouth, though, man, the mouth looks like two records squashed together. They've moved in a different direction. So for a while we were getting more and more of the hats and that are supposed to be hair. And then now there's less hats again. So it's like we were heading this way, and then I somehow am now heading some other direction. That you can see that rock wall back there. Look at that moai. I think that's supposed to be a fake one, but man, it looks more like a fat old school Buddha before Buddha got thin. How did I end up at the top again here? Oh, gay kinder. Yeah, I'm getting to yours. It's on the list. I guess I'll just do it now. So yeah, Mercury now has like a comet tail. They're calling it a salt tail. Ever heard of Mercury having a Mercury planet? It's weird because they're calling it a salt tail, but they're just saying there's a lot of other stuff besides salt, sodium tail. And in there also, so I'm like, why are you calling it a sodium tail when there's a lot of stuff that's not sodium in it? Mercury's thin atmosphere contains small amounts of sodium that glow when excited by light from the sun. Sunlight also liberates these molecules from Mercury's surface and pushes them away. The yellow glow from sodium in particular is relatively bright. Mercury and its sodium tail are visible even in a deep image taken in late May from Italy through a filter that primarily transmits yellow light emitted by sodium. First predicted in the 1980s, Mercury's tail was first discovered in 2001. Many tail details were revealed in multiple observations by NASA's robotic Messenger spacecraft. I've never even heard of Messenger spacecraft that orbited Mercury between 2011 and 2015. Tails are usually associated with comets. The tails of comet Neowise are currently visible with unaided eye. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you can see that there's the planet and there's a tail going off like this far. So I don't know, have you ever heard of there being a tail on Mercury instead of like just being on comets? I certainly haven't. So I would say good find, gay kinder. Yeah, Betty White died again. There's another one. I heard about that was I was down there. Devo was just a short stop while on the tour. The hats are somewhere else now on Matrix Neon Pill Tour. Yeah, I don't know. I can only, that's one of the reasons why I think that, we might just shift different timelines and while we're heading a certain direction, I don't know. Because, like, how else do you explain all the flip-flops and stuff? Never heard of a tail on Mercury. Yeah, so now they've known for like, what, over 10 years? I'm not from the U.S., but I remember Betty White dying before. It does seem that, well, part of it is she was quite old. I think she was almost 100. But it does seem like if they died recently, there's a high chance, and then they show up again, there's like a high chance that they'll die in the next few years. Okay, so that was Gay Kinder's one. I have another story too. This is kind of illustrates a pattern I might be starting to see with some of this stuff. So I said before that I go to Red Robin all the time to eat. I've been doing it for like 15 or 20 years. Me and my friends go like a few times a month maybe. And I almost always get a certain burger and in either a salad or French fries. So about half the time I'll get French fries and half the time I'll get a salad. And for like 2 decades, I'd say I want salad with ranch, and that was the end of the story. And I always got the same salad for like 2 decades. So some months ago, I went there and I ordered my salad, and they said, "Well, which one do you want?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They said, "There's two salads. I think it was called House, and then there's Caesar." And I was like, "What? So you're offering another salad now?" They said, "No, we've always had two salads." I'm like, "No, you did not." They're like, "Nope, he always is." So he even asked another waiter, like, "Have we always had Caesar?" "Yes, we've always had Caesar." I'm like, "Mm-mm." Then I'm like, "Okay, must be Mandela. Don't argue." I ordered the Caesar. It was delicious. So I go again this time, and I am in the mood for a Caesar salad. So I order the salad, and I'm waiting for them to say which one, and they don't say which one. And so I go, "Well, didn't you used to have two? Aren't you going to ask me which one?" And they go, "Oh, no, we discontinued the Caesar." And I'm like, "Well, you've only had it for a short time, right?" I mean, I'm testing him basically. And he goes, "Oh, no, we've always had the Caesar from the earliest days. We've had Caesar." And I'm like, this guy isn't even old enough probably to know the earliest days. But so he swears they always had Caesar and they just discontinued it. So I find it very suspicious that I shift into a timeline where they now have Caesar salads. But right after I shift in, they discontinued the Caesar salads. I kind of seen this with a number of Mandelas, like for that deli where they swore they never were open on Sundays, and I went there on Sundays dozens of times. I shift into this timeline where they were never open on Sundays, but right when I shift into it, they suddenly, for the first time, decide to open on Sundays. So it's like reality is trying to conform and straighten out stuff. So all these people coming in that are not familiar with there always having been Caesar salads, a bunch of them will never know because they just canceled the Caesar salads in this timeline. So it kind of covers both timelines better that way. Another example is that weird building that kept near my work that kept shifting whether it was for lease or not and who was the tenants and stuff. And then shortly after that, they tore the whole building down. Problem solved. You can't argue about who the tenant is because there's none. So it's almost like when the timelines come together, shifting is done to make them match better. So one timeline had two Caesar salads, two kinds of salad. One timeline had one kind of salad. How can you merge these? Well, the easiest way is for one of the salads to get canceled. And now both timelines have one salad because that other salad got canceled. I kind of wonder if that's kind of how it works. Like trying to shuffle it all. The salad that never was. I don't know. It's just a stupid salad. Yet, a lot of these things, I just know them so well. It's like if you're a person like me that kind of has I'm like a cat, I get my habits and I do them and I know everything about that burger and that meal because I get it twice a month for like ever. My stainless steel bottle opener has now this sentence on one side. "What would you like to drink?" Is that anything in your life? What to drink or not to drink? Yeah, I've been sub to John Levi for many years now. I'm Russian with Cossack ancestry, so I have some connection to Tartaria. So the story I'm hearing is that like a huge chunk of Russia believes in Tartaria. But for me, Tartaria's only been around, like it's only even been on old maps for maybe 3 or 4 years. We saw it show up on the map. So how can like all of like huge percentage of Russia already be believing in it? I mean, was it always around for a long time for you? Is that what it is? My post office Emma eat on me on Saturday. Pickup for package time is an hour less now, and I know the people that works there closely and know the stereotypes well in this small town. Yeah, so I did you ask them and they said it always was like that? Cuz yeah, there's been stuff like that with hours and stuff. Like I've seen a lot of stuff like that. Okay, so let's see what else. Yeah, the hours thing, and then they're like, the other thing about Red Robin was that there's, I think I said it before, these weird chairs showed up, these weird red cushy chairs, and I thought they were new. I'm like, oh, you got these neat chairs. They're like, oh no, we've always had those. I'm like, no, you did not. Well, I try not to argue too much about it because I pretty much figure out, okay, Emmy. You know, one thing about the Mandela is you really have to get comfortable with being wrong a lot because you can't be right when what is right keeps changing. And then people act like you're so silly. Those have always been there. I'm like, you can't let it get to your ego too much. Communist erased its existence. Russian researchers have been battling the fallacious academia for many years. So yeah, to me, it's nothing new, not an Emmy for me. Huh. See, I feel like this is all too convenient. Like this whole history was always here, but it was hidden and now it's just coming out. Well, I have seen that these buildings have ME changed to look more like the current hidden history. So there is a lot of ME involved with that. All right, what else we got here? A salad, orangutan. Okay, this one is from Carbon M5. Actually, speaking of sodium, now we're on carbon. Carbon M5. Excuse me, hiccups. Notice the DHL logo is looking a little fishy. Picture it in your mind, the DHL logo. I don't use DHL a ton, but I do use them. Well, I receive from them occasionally, especially the out of country stuff. I actually don't remember any of these logos. Now, maybe I wouldn't know that one, but all of these have 3 lines here. I do remember the same as Carbon M5. I remember one dash on this side and one dash on this side, and it not being tilted. You guys know how much I harp on the tilted factor of current timelines. So a non-tilted DHL with 1 line here, 1 line here, not a strike through line here, and then not a funny zigzag D. It was a lot plainer. I don't remember this D thing like flopping over the back here either. So it was just way more simple. I really don't recognize any of these old logos or the new logo. So yes, I agree. DHL logo different. Okay, this one is from Sweetheart 11. Good find. I did notice a little mentioning of this while I was out at the show with my limited crappy Wi-Fi. Right, that should be good enough. So they found a new part of the body again. A new part of the body. A new jaw muscle layer. Now we know there's been a lot of changes in the jaw region in here. So it's not really all that surprising. All of that muscle looks kind of weird to me. I don't remember having that big a muscle. I actually have a way stronger jaw now for chewing, even though I'm getting older. My jaw strength has improved, maybe at least 100%. Like it's like twice as good. And I could actually see the bulge out the side, and it's not fat; it's jaw. So the story is a deep layer of muscle in the masseter. has been discovered. It used to be believed there was only 2 layers, but now they know there's 3 layers. Distinguishable from the other 2 layers. Some kind of whole song and dance about how it had been rumored, and then they finally investigated it. All the way here in 2022, they finally figured it out. Yeah, okay, whatever. I really feel like it was more like an excuse to get people used to the concept of even looking like this in any way. Okay, so Sweetheart 11, good find. All right, then this one is from Gary, commenter on the show. Now we have an Eye of Sauron Nebula. Have anybody ever heard of Eye of Sauron Nebula? So it looks like a giant eye. I really do feel like we're under the Eye of Sauron around here lately. So, the Evil Eye Nebula, the Eye of Sauron Nebula. Not a very good photo. Actually, I'm not sure if it has that cross line in it or not. Maybe that was just manipulated. Well, that's Go Astronomy. They should not have an manipulated image, should they? Let's try this. In the Sagittarius constellation. Yeah, there you go. Our old digs, maybe? So they're showing it with this evil center eye. That's interesting. Is a planetary nebula located in the constellation Sagittarius. I think I was at the wiki and it was real dinky too. Wait. Yes, I believe it's this. M142 is the actual technical name. Correct. Yes, look at the size of this dinky wiki. This is the smallest ever. M142 is a planetary nebula located in Sagittarius, 10,000 light years away from the Earth. Nicknamed the Eye of Sauron Nebula due to its resemblance of the Lord of the Rings film. Period. That's it. So, I don't know, hot off the presses. Think you'd have 1 or 2 more sentences, but no. Good find, Gary. All right, I think that's 1 page worth. If I keep this thing under 2 hours, then theoretically, it will immediately transfer over to Odyssey. So, I'm going to give it a shot. Also, I haven't done hardly any searching this week because I was out of town, and then I've been scrambling to catch up with work. Now I'm only like 1 day behind instead of 5 days behind, so I've had some success. So this thing, Petonskiy crater in Siberia. Have you heard of this Petonskiy crater? It's 160 meters wide, 80 meters high, discovered in 1949. Few trees grow on it. And it's weird looking because it looks like, I don't know, it's just, what the heck? Ptomskiy crater. Have you ever seen this thing? What the hell, man? What's up with that? I don't know. It's because it's got this weird ball thing in it. I have not seen... It almost looks like it's hexagon, too. Look at... Not real sharp edges, but it looks a little hex. You know, if that thing was like, you know, this, it looks like it's 3 feet wide or something, but these are trees down here. These little tiny sticks are trees. This is big. You can see a little more of it here. Why are there not trees on it? If it was happened in 1949, there's should be like trees in the middle by now. Shouldn't there? Some seeds, some birds, something? What's up with that there's like nothing? I mean, it doesn't look like the soil sucks that bad. It's loose. If it was discovered in 1949, that's 70 years of time for the the trees to have recovered. It just seems like a bit much. See what they have to say about this thing. Alien news, that may not be the most reliable source. Always changes its shape. Seriously? The crater was dated as 350 years old before the Tunguska phenomena. Although this was supposed to be the work of a meteorite, there was no obvious evidence of this hypothesis. In fact, it's not known what produced this crater. Russian geologists believe there is a large iron object that has an enormous density, that it changes shape. Okay, I don't know. All of these, it looks the same on all of these images. I'm going to just type that in and see if there's any more reliable source to the shape changing, because that's the first I've heard of it. Changes shape. Does not resemble lunar meteor craters. Oh, the crater's alive and changes shape by rising and falling constantly. I wonder how true that is. All right, let's just go to Wiki and see what they have to say. Made of shattered limestone blocks. Nearby trees seem to have experienced rapid growth that has been theorized to be caused by radiation. Okay, so I don't really recall there ever being a storyline that radiation causes rapid growth. Didn't radiation used to stunt you and make you sickly and unhealthy, which would lead to less growth? I mean, maybe in some rare case you might get like a hyperthyroid cancer that would lead to increased growth, but overall, I thought radiation was supposed to hurt you. So now from a totally logical perspective, one thing that can make trees grow faster is better soil. So like we have one tree that is planted in really good soil and one that wasn't, and they were planted on the same day. And the one in the good soil is like twice as big now as the one in the mess soil. So say there was something in here churned up that better nitrogen content or something like that. That could explain trees growing fast. But that should also be fairly easy to test. They could just test the soil here, test the soil over there. I mean, they should be able to figure that out in a hot minute. Some are saying it's geological processes. No evidence of a meteorite. According to Siberian scientists, the crater formed only 300 to 350 years ago. Intensive introduction of deep gas flows of matter, which led to the transformation of silicate rocks within the crater. An important confirmation of these ideas was a result of the firm conviction that Patum crater has an origin of endogenetic nature. Meteorite import craters have different shape. Okay, I don't know. That one is kind of... There's not a ton on this wiki, and it's not very clear. Okay, let me see what you guys are up to real quick here. They say now that earthquakes make the trees grow faster. Okay. What the bleep? Trees grow faster. So you take a tree and shake the crap out of it, and that makes it grow faster? Holy cow, there it is. All right, I'm going to put that one down because that's weird. Earthquakes. You really can't make up this reality. I mean, wouldn't that just damage the roots and imbalance it and stuff? Earthquakes. Short-term fertilizing effect leaves signatures in wood cells. Short-term fertilizing effect. By driving extra water into the soil surrounding their roots. These fleeting growth spurts leave signatures in wood. I mean, but wouldn't far more be accomplished by like a good hard rain? Wouldn't you just have like 10 times more growth from like 10 hard rains than one little bitty earthquake? I mean, even if it does force water up, it's not going to stay up that long. The fleeting growth spurts leave signatures in wood cells that could also be used to better detect and date ancient earthquakes. When they returned, let's see, after the big coastal Chile earthquake that killed hundreds, they returned to find the rivers were flowing faster. Okay, that's the first I've ever heard of that. So much water is squeezed out that the rivers were flowing faster. And this is sometime later. It wasn't like the same day. Mowers suspected the Male quake had shaken up soils and made them more permeable, allowing groundwater to most easily flow down from the ridges and into the valleys. Okay, anyway, you get the drill. There was a sinkhole time period. I feel like sinkholes are up. Weird meteorite. Like there's all this weird stuff happening in the sky, booms and flashes. They're like, oh, it's a meteorite that burned up. I'm like, meteorites, like, it seems like half of them just burn up now or disappear. There's no evidence of them. But if there's a boom, it must be a stealth meteorite. That's just, everything's blamed on stealth meteorites that leave no evidence, but they must have done it. Schumann resonance was black yesterday. The loose soil looks like the traps created. Oh, yeah, it does look like something burrowed down, and then it left like that weird lump behind it. That's a good point. That one crater. Has anyone had a person freeze in front of them like a minute or two and then snap out of it and smile at you like they had a download? When I talk about Mandelas, something like that happens. Like, they look all confused, worried, concerned. Then they look up, they freeze. And then they look back at you and, oh, they're serene now. Like, they've gotten the magic answer that makes them feel better. There's no weird time-space glitch because now I remember. I forgot before, but now I remember. It's just blah, 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 blah. Whatever they said a minute ago now doesn't exist. They never said it. The more times you repeat it, they just stare at you blankly. They don't deny they said it. They don't agree they said it. They just refuse to think about saying it. And when you talk about it, they just pretend you never said anything. They don't even, it's just weird. That's the freezes I see the most often, I think. There's been a few other times, like, for instance, when I try to talk about something they said before that contradicts with the current reality. I see freezes then. It's like their brain fogs over. They just stare at you. They have not processed anything you said. You just want to like knock on the head and go, hello, can you hear me in there? But they can't. I mean, I tried. I've almost shook them. I'm like, do you get it? Do you hear me? Are you hearing? And they just stare at you like that. Their off button is the pause button has been pushed and will not be started up again until you talk about something else. Did CERN turn back on yet? That's a good question. I've heard that they were gonna, supposedly more at a more powerful level than before. Derb. It's kind of tricky because there really are super colliders all over the world now to reopen in 2021. A new, okay, this is the current schedule. Restart in May 2021. I think they're off right now though, right? Ugh, this is going slow. Let's try it. Nope, that's not helping either. All right. Wiki should be fast. No, I want to go to the wiki because we don't have all day. Blah, blah. All right, here we go. Nope. All right, I'm not seeing the schedule. All right, that's not helping at all, is it? To restart. So I think it started in March 2021, then it was off, and then it's going to start again in March 2022. All right, let's try this. Machine will start running experiments again in February 2022 if all goes well with a 2-week test run in October. Okay, so it's been off and it's supposed to start in February 2022 other than a 2-week test run in October, I think. Oh, wait a minute. All right, this is on CERN website and it looks like it is different. Oh, it looks like it started yesterday now. Ugh. All right, I think we're going to have to live through that. All right, I'm going to go on to the next thing while that thinks about loading. Oh, there was just the thing, only vaccinated can visit. Yeah, well. No comment. Wouldn't want to piss off the YouTube overlords. All right, so whatever was written there, it now is not on this page at all. Totally useless. I don't know. Maybe if one of you guys can figure out what's going on, I cry uncle. Because over here it says reopened in 2022, but maybe that's old. Anyways, I don't know. All right, another weird one. KSP Crafters in. Happy New Year, you guys. .cern, not .com, not .org. Oh, yeah, you're right, huh? Okay, so this one is another interesting one. I mean, it's not a Mandela, it's just somebody like hypothesizing, but it's really interesting because it really kind of hits the nail on the head, sort of. Scientists say the laws of physics may be changing. The cosmos is stranger than we know. So the basic story here is they're hypothesizing that the universe might be autodidactic. Basically, it's self-learning and that it will change its own reality as it develops. And so physics itself could be changing as the universe becomes more self-aware, which is pretty interesting because, a lot of people think that might be part of what's happening on Earth and on it. I mean, like I said, they're just hypothesizing. I don't think they had any evidence, but... All right, I think I got like 2 left. One of them is the thumbnail. Uh-oh, I've jammed it. Let's get out of there. This one I found a couple weeks ago. Have you ever seen dragonflies doing handstands? So the story now is if dragonflies get hot, they do handstands in order to cool off. I have never in my entire life seen a dragonfly do a handstand. Dragonflies do handstands in the summertime to prevent themselves from overheating. So then there's all these images of dragonflies doing handstands. I have never seen them do, see some of these you could kind of write it off that they're on some kind of angled stick, but I mean, like this, they just don't sit like that. And I mean, you pretty much only see them in the summer anyways. But I've never, ever seen a dragonfly stick with his giant butt up. And if he did, I'd probably think it was some kind of poisonous, stinger creature that I had to worry about if I saw like this. Somehow it's just way more scary looking than if they lay normally. But now it's a thing. They're hot. They stick their butt up. I don't even know how much that would even help. All right. So what? I got 20 more minutes. See, I could really burn through these if I stopped talking so much. This is the last one. I was kind of looking up polio for something, and I have done this several times. I think the last time I was talking about how apparently only a tiny fraction of, like 0.5% of people who get polio get really sick from it. The vast majority just have a mild flu or cold. About 0.5% have the worst central nervous system attacks that causes muscle weakness and flaccid paralysis. But even out of those, a large percentage of those will eventually recover. So it's a really tiny percent of people that have permanent, like mangled parts, which I am very suspicious of, but I can't say for sure if it wasn't my old timeline. However, I have looked at this a bunch of times, and the one thing that really I have never seen before is finding Post-Polio Syndrome. I have never seen this before. So I've talked before about how it just seems like it's more of a thing now where viruses don't get kicked out of your body. They hide and they sneak back. So they're saying a fairly large percentage of people who recover from polio, like 25 or 30 years later, start having polio-like symptoms. I've never heard of this before, and I've looked on polio stuff a lot. So they don't think it's actually the virus this time, though. They're saying that, like, damage from 30 years ago, like, kind of put too much stress on your neurons, and then they sort of poop out, like 30 years later, but it's earlier than they would normally poop out or get tired. So post-polio syndrome, I've never heard of that. So that's kind of my last thing. There just seems to be a lot of this like weird storyline where you get something and then later, sort of like long COVID, but, for everything now. It sneaks back later. So just another pattern I'm seeing. But more of a concern than that is CERN, but the Earth as the collider. And here in the USA, it's called Dune Project from Fermilab. I have not heard of this. Fermilab. Interesting because of the movie Dune. It is a host laboratory for Dune. Deep underground neutrino experiment. To unlock the mysteries of neutrinos. Doesn't explain it too good. Let's see. 2 neutrino detectors placed in the world's most intense neutrino beam. Eight 800 miles. Neutrino production, particle detector, underground particles. So 2 giant detectors, and they're shooting it through a bunch of the ground. One detector will record particle interactions near the source of the beam. A second, much larger detector will be installed more than a kilometer underground. These detectors will enable scientists to search for new subatomic phenomena. So they're shooting a bunch of neutrinos through the edge of the Earth, I guess? I don't know. Okay, anyways, I'm about done, so if you guys have anything to add. Now, I've kind of, since Court said, I've switched my schedule back, so I'm trying to get up at a vaguely normal human hour and then stay awake during most of the daylight and then go to bed. So the end result is that at 1:46, I'm actually sleepy now. Yeah, it's called Dune. I know, really, I don't... And it goes through the Earth. It's like, are we going to be turning the place into a desert? Oh, Doom, like D-U-N-E, not D-O-O-M. The lore is about opening a gate to the hell dimension. Okay, so D-U-N-E is not as bad as D-O-O-M. My 3-month severe allergies disappeared as mysteriously as it appeared. Went to see the doctors, had x-rays, and everything was perfect. Well, maybe this has been a good shift for you. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. Sorry to be gone for 2 weeks. There wasn't the busiest Mandela period, so it wasn't too bad. Before, they couldn't even detect neutrinos. Now it's very common. Ooh, I'm not sure on that one. All right, people, you know what to do. Think good thoughts, everyone. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.